Hi, welcome to Feminist Fridays, a series where we explore the social, the political, and the media from a feminist and an intersectional perspective, and use a lot of F words. Today I kind of wanted to address an issue that I've noticed involving intersectionality on this channel. Obviously, not every video I've made is perfect. I would say that none of them are perfect in that regard, but it's something that every week I'm excited to make a script for and super pumped to talk about a new subject. However, because I am making videos based off of whims and what I'm excited about that week, it doesn't always make for the most consistent video topics. And I've noticed that even though I've talked about race in a couple videos, I haven't really focused on it in the way that it deserves to be focused on. Also, I realized by not focusing on race, I kind of become part of the problem. Third wave feminism kind of prides itself on being intersectional in ways that previous waves haven't so much been, but it's also really easy to fall into the trap of white feminism, which, disclaimer, is not feminism practiced by white people, but a type of feminism that only really focuses on the needs of straight, white, cis, able-bodied women. Anyway, my point being that I have a lot of video topics planned to address these issues of not talking about race and racial identity and racism as much as I should be. Because apparently even women of color can fall into the trap of white feminism. Anyway, I thought a good way to start this off would be to talk about my own racial identity and my experience as a mixed-race Asian American. Long story short, my dad is Japanese and my mom is just hella white. My mom was born in the United States and she's just a whole hodgepodge of Scottish and French and English and whatever. Like many other white Americans, she doesn't really have a real sense of her own cultural heritage, which just sort of happens a lot here. My dad is a little bit trickier. He's an immigrant. He immigrated here in his 20s from Brazil. Brazil has the largest population of Japanese people outside of Japan, but it does make my own cultural understanding a little bit blurred. I don't really have a good sense of my Japanese heritage because culturally my dad is Brazilian and he grew up eating Brazilian food and speaking Portuguese. So I don't really have any sense of Japanese culture other than the fact that my dad owns a Japanese restaurant. So my only real connection to that is through food. Growing up being mixed race, I think, is confusing for most people. The overwhelming question that a lot of multiracial people find themselves asking is, what the fuck am I? I don't really feel white, but I also don't really feel Japanese either. I spent a lot of my childhood and adolescence kind of trying to pass. Not to play up any of my Japanese side, not to watch anything or wear anything that's too stereotypically Japanese. I stayed away from anime probably for that main reason. One thing I did notice is that there was a lot of othering. This is where racism and sexism kind of intersects. In my younger teenage years, I ended up valuing myself a lot on my appearance and whether or not boys thought I was cute, which for any girls watching this is not a healthy thing to base your self-esteem on. But we live in a culture where women are valued on their appearance, so it was one of those things that I ended up internalizing. One concern that I had a lot was, is this guy going to be attracted to me? Is he into Asian girls? White girl is kind of the default, and I always felt like I was in the category of other. I also got a lot of racist compliments growing up, and even in the last couple years. Things that I didn't realize were racist and found flattering at the time, and I look back on now and I'm just so grossed out by. I dated a white guy a little bit in my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and there were a lot of racist comments, but the one that sticks out to me the most was, "You're the reason that I have an Asian fetish," which I didn't realize that an entire race of people was considered a fetish, so thank you for that. Another comment that I got a couple times was, "I'm not normally into Asian girls, but," followed by, "I think you're pretty, you're cute," or "I want to make out with you" or something, which is what? Thank you for ranking me above all other Asian women and deeming me worthy of your affection. I feel so honored. Obviously, those were not the only comments I've ever received, but those are the ones that I still think about and am shocked by. The function of that always seemed like a reminder that I'm not the white ideal, and, I'm in this whole other category, and I'm just so lucky that white guys are even paying attention to me. That's something that I think happens to a lot of women of color. It's just this exotification of anyone who isn't white, and it's just so gross. Anyway, that is part of my racial experience. I could talk for a really long time, but I'm not gonna do that because this might already be kind of a long video. So yeah, if you want to leave a comment letting me know about your own racial identity and your experiences with race, because I'd really like to hear from you guys, and maybe you've gone through a similar experience. I don't know your life.